Hi guys, welcome to episode 20 of Vocab Hub. This is the last episode in the series, so I just wanted to say thanks to everyone that's followed along so far. We're going to do something a bit different today. I did a poll on Instagram to find out what people wanted from the last episode, and the general consensus was for a tutorial on how to transpose bass lines. So that's what we're going to do today, using a couple of examples from the course that we've already covered. So there are bass lines that you should be familiar with. So the first one we're going to do is the bass line from episode 16. So that's covering a major chord progression. So it's just a major line. So it starts from the B flat, which means it's in the key of B flat. It's that simple. If it starts from the root note of the one chord or the major chord, then that's the key you're in. So all you need to do is learn the fingering on the shape, the pattern that you're playing, and then shift the starting point to somewhere else on the bass. So if we shift down 2 frets to A flat and we play the exact same shape, you've then transposed that bass line to A flat. It's that simple. Shift it down another fret and you've got G. You can shift that up and down to whatever key you want to be in. Because it uses all 4 strings, if you start it from a string other than the G string, you're going to have to change the fingering a bit. So say I wanted to play it from E flat, the E flat on the A string, so on the 6th fret of the A string. Once you get there, you've run out of notes and you can't continue. There's nowhere for you to continue the bass line to on a string below. So you need to figure out where you can play it up the G string. So if you play it in the original key, B flat, when you shift to go to the G string, find the difference between that note and the note you played before it. So if I'm shifting from this B flat to B, I'm going up a semitone, which is actually the same as just going like this, up 1 fret. So going like this is going up a semitone. So that means if I do the same thing starting from the E flat, when I run out of notes, I can go up a semitone here. So the easiest way to shift would be move my first finger, and then you can just because when you walk up here, it's just a line of semitones. So just do the same thing. So if you're new to this, it's probably easiest to transpose bass lines on the same string. So if you're starting from a root note on the E string, on the lowest string, you can shift the bass line up and down on the E string without having to change the fingering. And you've got all the notes on the E string, so you can still shift it to whatever key you want to play in. You just might have to, say you wanted to shift it to E, you'd have to move all the way up here. But that's probably a good place to start. So now that we've covered a bass line that's just a static chord, so it's just one chord using the root chord and starting from the root note, which is the simplest place to start. We're now going to look at transposing a bass line for a chord progression that starts from a chord that's not the root. So if we look at a 2-5-1, we'll do a minor 2-5-1. You start from the 2 chord, so you don't actually reach the key that you're in until the 3rd bar. So the 1 chord is the key. So say we do it in the key of G, that means we start from A, because A minor is the 2 chord of G. And you find that by going up a whole tone, so it's 2 frets up. So in the key of G, find G, go up 2 frets. That's the start of your 2 chord, the root of your 2 chord. So if we use this line, we resolve to the G, which is the key. We don't start from the G. So say you wanted to shift that bass line to the key of C, you'd find C and then go up 2 frets to find the 2 chord, which is D, D minor, and then play the exact same pattern from the D, and then you've resolved to the C, which is the key. So do it in one more key, do it in E. So find E, go up 2 semitones, 2 frets, and that's your starting point. That's F sharp. So it's the same bass line. Just moved to a different key. So I hope that helps you understand how bass lines are transposed. I'd suggest starting off transposing static chords, so ones where the chord doesn't change, and it'd be easiest to do this using major chords because that's the key centre. So if you pick some of the major lines that we've covered, first practice shifting them just on the E string, or whichever string you want really, but in a way that means you don't have to change the fingering. And then once you're happy with that, you can start trying it out from different places where you might have to change the fingering a bit. Now that you know how to do that, what I do is, if I'm learning a bass line and I'm not particularly comfortable with it, I'll play it in 1 new key per day. So I usually start off in C, and then I'll work my way around a cycle of fifths or fourths, which is here. If you go clockwise or anti-clockwise around this circle, it covers all 12 keys. So I take 1 key per day, practice the bass line in that key, and then after I've covered all of them, I'll play through all 12 keys consecutively. So what I use for that is iReal Pro, because it's got these handy chord progressions where, let me just make sure you can see that. It's got all 12 keys, so that's a minor 2-5-1 in all 12 keys, and it will play a backing track for these chord progressions. So if I do an example of that, sound like this. So it's handy because it's got 2 bars of the 1 chord, which means you will have time to find the starting point of the next key that you're moving to. So with the 2-5-1, just remember you're not starting from the key that you're in, you're starting from the 2 chord of the key that you're in. So I hope this has been helpful. All the lines from this series are now in a PDF book. It's all as sheet music at the moment. I may create a tab version if people want. But at the moment it's just sheet music, and it'd be a good way for you to learn to read music if that's something that you're interested in. So yeah, that's all available on my website, and I'll put a link for that. And it's also got a written version of this tutorial, so everything that I've talked about in this lesson is included in that, and there's a cycle of fourths or fifths in there as well. So yeah, thanks very much for watching this series. Hope you've learned a lot and hope you've enjoyed it, and I won't see you next week because this is the last one. But there may be future series, and possibly a sight reading course is on the horizon. So yeah, thanks very much.